Welcome to Your Yes-Filled Life. I'm Brenda Winkle, energetic leadership guide, psychic medium, and somatic coach for ambitious leaders who know their gifts are real and who want to stand fully in them. Here, you'll learn how to trust your intuition, embody your vision, and step into the freedom you've been craving, all without chasing more certifications or carrying stuff that does not belong to you. Every week, I'll share powerful practices and conversations with thought leaders and changemakers that help you transform your vision into embodied confidence, claim your gifts without apology, and lead with both clarity and freedom. Because your gifts aren't cute, they're powerful, they're real, and they're needed. Start today by downloading my free energy audit at brendawinkle.com/audit. It's the exact tool I use to track what's fueling me and what's draining me. It will help you discern between that hit of achievement and true joy so that you can lead with more clarity and impact. This is your space to stop proving, start embodying, and live fully in your gifts. Welcome to Your Yes-Filled Life. Hello and welcome to Your Yes-Filled Life. I'm your host, Brenda Winkle. Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about why sometimes the very thing that you want actually can shut you down. It can make you feel so tired you can't get off the couch, or really triggered or fearful. Essentially, why expansion can feel heavy or hard even when you're ready. So the thing I really want you to hear, and I'm going to say this over and over and over again, is you're not confused. You're not behind. There's nothing wrong with you. I really want you to hear me on this. What you're feeling right now is a combination of identity lag and a nervous system activation. And so that's why when you're working towards the very thing that you want, and you know you want it, you can end up experiencing almost crippling anxiety or fear. You can get so fatigued, you feel like you can't function. You find yourself stressed and like you don't have any more time to do anything. Those are all stress responses, and we'll talk about those. But first, I just want to tell you a little story. In 2025, and I was just leading my spiritual CEO membership through this earlier this week. But in 2025, I learned to practice from my mentor, Marie Forleo. And she taught me to, well, it was through the mid-year reset is what she called it. But I adapted that to be something that I do every quarter, where I go through my calendar and my planner, and then I list every single thing I attended, I did, I accomplished, every person I met with, and I do it in a way that is quick so I can, do some tally marks. Like I won't necessarily list every private client's name, but I'll put held private client session and then I'll do tally marks behind it, or held breathwork session and then do tally marks behind it. And through the course of doing this, I realized not only some things professionally, but things personally that I wanted. And one of those things was I wanted community. Now, for me, I can get community in a lot of different ways. I love dancing. And so I am in the process of becoming more integrated in a dance community near me by just attending the social dances. And that's been really, really fun. But I know myself, and I know that I want a weekly community. As an entrepreneur who works from home, I knew I needed in-person community. And one of the things I know I'm really good at and comes easily for me is directing choirs. And so I thought to myself, in these uncertain times with the political instability that we're experiencing in the United States, I think I really want to become part of an in-person community. And because I knew from the work that I had done around my calendar and schedule and really listing out the activities, that was how I came to clarity that I needed to shut down my main program, the coaching program called Your Yes-Filled Life. And I also knew that because I was shutting that down, I was going to need another income stream to get me through that little period when I was supposed to be launching your Yes Filled Life group coaching program, and I wouldn't be. And I thought to myself, I wonder if two things could be true at the same time. Could I supplement my income and build community doing what I know and love to do? And so I started to get curious around adding an additional choral role to my life. I took on the role of the Pacific Youth Choir's associate conductor, directing two of their children's choirs in July of 2025, and I've absolutely loved it. I took it on because I knew I needed more joy in my life. And that really is a joy point for me. I love teaching kids to sing. I love the experience of what happens when we come together in a choir. It feels so nourishing and it's so expansive. And yes, it's about the music, but it's about so much more. It's about community. It's about life lessons. It's about patience. It's about expression. It's about letting ourselves feel. And so I'm just deeply passionate about the role of choral music or music in general in our lives, especially when we think about emotional well-being and community. And so I had this question mark of curiosity thinking, I wonder if I could create some adult community for myself by taking on a role of an adult choir director. And so I began to look in the fall for openings for adult choir directors. Well, there was an opening that I happened to see sometime, I think it was November, for a UCC, United Church of Christ, position for a 5 to 8 hour a week role. Now, this was really intriguing to me because 5 to 8 hours a week is about the maximum that I can commit. And because my business is still my business, it's my main source of income and it's what I want to spend most of my time and energy and bandwidth doing. And also, I need community. And so 5 to 8 hours a week felt really good. That was appealing. But then the other thing that was really appealing is the United Church of Christ, the UCC, was the church I grew up in. So I understand how it goes. They are open, they're affirming, they are progressive, they're liberal. And so I knew that this would be a good fit ideologically for me. So I thought, I'm just going to go ahead and apply for the job. I applied for the job and got a very kind email back from the pastor that said, I got your application. I'm going to take a look at it on a day that I'm working. He happened to be not working that day. So you can expect to hear from me, in 3 or 4 days. And it was great. Well, a few days later, I received a phone call from the pastor and we talked for a long time and realized that we had a lot of common ideology and common philosophy, and it just felt really good. Well, at the time, I was preparing for a concert for Pacific Youth Choir. And so he mentioned that he might like to have some members of the hiring committee for their church come to that concert. And I thought to myself, great. I mean, I'm already doing the work. You might as well come see because it's going to be a public concert and it's going to be fun and great. Well, in the meantime, I met with the hiring team for an interview and really liked them. I really liked the questions that they answered. I really liked how every member of the hiring team was given a role and given an opportunity to ask questions. And it just felt like there was a focus on equity and just felt really, really good, very positive. And I left the interview just smiling, thinking to myself, even if it doesn't go any further than this, it was worth it because I just felt happy and good. And, there's something really familiar about a UCC church. It was the church that I attended. I was married in, my daughter was baptized in, and it felt really familiar. It felt like going home. So anyway, the Pacific Youth Choir concert came and two members of the hiring committee attended the concert. And I'm new to Pacific Youth Choir in the sense that this was my first concert with them. And so I don't know a lot of the extended families. I know the parents of the students that I teach, but a lot of other people were unfamiliar to me. And when I saw these two smiling faces sitting in the audience at my concert at Pacific Youth Choir from the hiring committee of the United Church of Christ, I mean, my heart just leapt. I mean, they were big, broad smiles and open waves. And it just I feel a little emotional just describing it. I just thought, wow, even if this doesn't go any further than this, I've already built a little bit of community. And so I just detached from it, directed the concert, and just felt really good about the concert. It was so fun. The kids did so well. It was amazing. And I was reminded how much I love to perform. Like it's a little bit of a drug for me. I have to be careful not to get into overachieving mode in performances and stack up performances because it is literally a high for me. I love it. It is so fueling and so joy giving for me. So a few days passed and my mom was visiting from Wisconsin. She came for a couple of weeks in December, which was absolutely wonderful. I don't think we'd spent that much time together, just the two of us ever, because there were always, other family members around, and that's also wonderful. But this was just special. It was different to be able to just really hone in on our relationship. It was really cool. But anyway, she was saying that maybe I should go to a church service. And I thought, well, maybe I should. And she was here and she said, I really want to go to church. My mom is an avid church goer. And she said, I really want to go to church if we can sometime when I'm here. And so I reached out to the pastor and said, I don't want to overstep or, you know, create problems in the hiring process, but I'm wondering if it would be okay for me to attend your church service on Sunday. And he said, yes, it'd be fine. And so my mom and I went to the church service, and he had made the offer that I could go kind of incognito. And I told him I didn't mind just saying hi to people. I just didn't want to overstep in the hiring process. Well, we went to that church and it was so welcoming. People didn't know that I was there because I had interviewed. They were just kind and they were so welcoming. And it was really, really a great experience. We absolutely loved it. We had a great time. My mom kept saying, these people are so nice. And they are. They're so nice. So I just kind of, let things be. And then the holidays came and New Year came, and I knew that I was going to conduct a rehearsal for them at the first week of January. And I just sort of put it out of my mind and decided that I would do, just my normal things, focusing on the business and Pacific Youth Choir and getting their auditions going for the next semester. And then I went to that rehearsal and it was wonderful. I had so much fun. And I just felt like, again, ooh, it's such a high of directing choirs, and I love it. And it felt fun to joke around with adults, to just interact with adults, because I do a lot of work with kids in person, but my business is primarily online, as you know. And so again, I sort of put it out of my mind and figured it'd be a week or so until I heard. But Friday, they offered me the job. And so Friday, they offered me the job. Monday, I went to lunch with the pastor and we did some onboarding kinds of things, helping me learn systems and procedures and things like that. And then he made a mention that, oh, what do you want to do on Wednesday for the rehearsal? And I'm internally thinking, wait, I'm leading rehearsal on Wednesday, because I thought that there was a 3-week lag where I would have some time to get my feet under me and choose music and so forth. And I thought, well, I've been doing this long enough, I can figure it out. This is really important. So I promise you I'm landing the plane. I want to highlight a couple of things. I knew that this was the right decision. I knew it felt good. This met all of my metrics of what I was looking for ideologically, time-wise, community-wise. I was already feeling a sense of community and a sense of fondness for the members that I had seen at the concert. All of this is to say there were no red flags. None. Tuesday rolled around before Wednesday that I was going to lead the rehearsal, and my nervous system and subconscious were on fire. It was like I couldn't get comfortable. I was agitated. I was irritated. I was second guessing the whole thing. Wednesday rolled around and I was even more agitated. And now I had this crushing fatigue. Like, I think I have to go take a nap at 2 p.m. kind of fatigue. I'm mentioning this because everything about this move in taking this church choir position had checked every box that I needed it to check. It is literally a very conscious decision that it was the right thing to do and what I wanted. And my nervous system and my subconscious were so triggered that if I didn't do this work, I would have mistaken what was happening in my body and my emotions for information that I was on the wrong track. Our nervous systems are so intelligent that when they notice there's a change coming, even if it's a change we really want, they are going to do everything in their power to keep us safe. They're not doing it to us, they're doing it for us. And so, since I do nervous system work, I knew I could tell I was in an activated stress response, literally an activated stress response. I didn't have an appetite, which, if you ever spend any time with me, that is not normal. And I was noticing I wasn't thinking clearly. And so I just did some breath work, did some tapping on that collarbone point that I talk to you about all the time, came back into regulation. And it took several times all throughout the day because my subconscious and my nervous system were so activated about this change. Well, by the time I got to rehearsal on Wednesday, I walked into the room and instantly felt everything just kind of fall away. All the anxiety, all the fear, all the nervousness. It just disappeared. And I realized, oh, yeah, here I am. Here I am doing the thing I actually wanted to do. And it's right. Your nervous system is doing the same thing to you. And if you're not paying attention to what you really want and making conscious decisions, you'll mistake the messages that your subconscious or your nervous system are sending you as signs that you should stop. What we need to do is two things. We need to bring the nervous system back into stabilization, and we need to make sure that the identity lag is filled. We've got to work with that identity gap. So, I just want to normalize the urge to retreat, to quit, to say, never mind, it's too much, to pause, to renegotiate. This is not simple fear, okay? It is your nervous system and your identity catching up to who you're becoming. So, when we're talking for the rest of this episode, what I'm saying is not hype. This is not just my philosophy. This is based in sound nervous system science. This is not mindset coaching. This is embodiment, somatic coaching. And the things that I'm going to share with you today are not really strategy, although you can use them as a strategy to deal with it when you're getting ready to step into a new experience, a more expanded version of you, a more aligned version of you. Here's the thing. High capacity leaders, really intelligent, intuitive people often think if this were really aligned, it would feel easy all the time. And we have been taught to equate ease with, okay, this is the right choice. That's not what ease means. Ease when we're saying, like, for example, the word of the year for me in 2026 is ease. It doesn't mean that I'm going to expect to always be emotionally regulated and to never have a stress response. That's not what ease means. Ease means, am I doing things in a way that is sustainable and simple, in a way that promotes a state of ease? Or am I adding complexity and unnecessary steps and unnecessary complication? We think that if we're experiencing the feelings that I was having Tuesday and Wednesday, the anxiety, the fear, the fatigue, we think that that's friction. That means, oh, this is not aligned. But that's not true. Expansion, growth requires fiction. And then So we're going to grow, we're going to expand the nervous system capacity, and then the identity can catch up. Identity shifts are metabolically expensive for the nervous system. That's part of why you're tired, but it's also the stress response, it's the freeze response. So there's a really key distinction here that I want to hone in on: fear versus an identity lag versus avoidance. Okay. So if I would have been fearful at the interview and I would have left the interview fearful, that would have been a sign that it wasn't aligned. But that's not what happened. I felt the alignment in the interview. When I felt the fear was right before I executed, right before the first night that I was holding rehearsal. That's when I felt fear. That's the difference. And that's how I knew it was an identity lag and a nervous system activation and not actually fear that I had made a terrible mistake. And lumping together these types of sensations into one big bowl of, if I feel this way, it's not for me, is what keeps people from moving forward. So let's talk about what's actually happening when there's an identity lag. Your vision, not your eye vision or your eyesight. Oh, I have a terrible itch in my nose. Excuse me. Somebody must be thinking about me. Have you ever heard that before? Oh my goodness. Um, So your vision of your life, of your business, of the project, of the way you want to feel, of your family, of your friendships, that vision is updating faster than your nervous system and your body. And the nervous system, your body, prioritizes safety over everything else. So even though you may want, let's say in my case, I wanted more community and I wanted a role, even though I wanted that, my nervous system was prioritizing safety. And because this is a big change, my nervous system interpreted it as a threat. And the same thing is happening for you. When your nervous system is prioritizing safety, your nervous system does not care about your desires, your dreams, your goals, or your success. Your nervous system only cares about keeping you safe. So if you don't learn to work with your nervous system and give it the love, the compassion, and the regulation that it needs, you will get stuck in overthinking and you will leave things. You will avoid things. You won't follow through on things. You'll give up. Now, I just want to say there's nothing wrong with you if that's happened or is happening. There's nothing wrong with you. You are a human being in a human body, and this is what the human body is designed to do. That nervous system is there to keep you safe. But here's the thing I really want you to understand: the more capacity you have, the more your system needs stabilization and not pressure. And that means spaciousness and identity work. So I can tell you that the amount of nervous system activation I had over taking on this very first rehearsal was stronger than a lot of the things I did that were huge, like quitting my teaching job. My nervous system was more activated by attending the rehearsal on Wednesday night than it was when I quit my teaching job, because I have built more capacity in my body and I need more stabilization, more ease, more spaciousness. And I'm telling you this because there's a myth that the further you go, the easier it gets. I have not found that to be true. And none of my mentors have found that to be true either. There are going to be continual levels where you're going to need to check in with, is this in alignment? Which is why it is so important for you to activate and trust your intuition. Because your intuition, if you can slow down enough to hear it or feel it or see it, however it comes through for you, your intuition will be that guide. So let me share another story from you about an identity shift that happened recently, and you'll probably see yourselves in this. So I met someone in one of the Be a Guest groups in Facebook who had a community that she hosted, and she was looking for guest teachers. And I originally signed up to do 6 unpaid classes for her in a series, and it made so much sense. It felt aligned at the time. It felt like this was a great way to kind of hone in on something that I was working on. And as I got going, I realized, oh, wait a second. I'm I signed up for another unpaid work situation. So at the time, we had said we that I was doing this and I could share my offers with the community. And as we got going, we began to realize that there was just a little bit of a gap between what her community needed and what I was offering. Let me translate this for you. Her community wasn't buying from me. They wanted me to continue to show up in a way that was where they were in their community, and then they were in my DMs asking for support and coaching. All of this is unpaid. Now, past me would have done one of two things. Past me would have either gotten upset and frustrated and sort of felt resentful, but probably just kept signing up thinking, well, one day maybe I'll finally figure out how I can bridge the gap between where her clients are and where my offers are. And, and that would have been a right choice. There would not have been a wrong choice, but I would have felt a way about it. But current me is crystal clear. I mean, crystal clear on the value that I bring, my own self-worth, and my own goals. And I place such high value on my energy and on my bandwidth. And I place so much importance on protecting my energy and bandwidth for my clients who pay me and my friends and my family that it just no longer felt aligned for me to continue to prepare a container for unpaid, unreciprocal work. And so I just said, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm not going to be able to continue this beyond our current series. And what's more, I had met with her a couple of days before that, and I really like this community. I really, really like them. And so there was a part of me that was feeling like, well, I just enjoy talking with them. I enjoy teaching them. I feel like they're benefiting from what I'm teaching. And so when the group leader and I met in a call, we had talked about I wanted to slow down how much I was teaching in her community because of exactly what I already said, that it was unpaid work. And so we were going to do something monthly. But then as I slept on it, as a manifesting generator, it takes me time sometimes to make decisions, to really feel what's right. I realized it just doesn't feel aligned for me to continue to sign up to do unpaid work. And so I just said, like, without any drama, thank you so much for the opportunity. It's no longer aligned for me to do unpaid work. I don't have resentment. I don't have emotions. There's no drama. It just felt settled. I don't need to justify it. This is the identity of my CEO. And it took me most of 2025 to get into this identity. And this is the new version of me, the CEO, Brenda, that has moved from proving to self-honoring, from doing things for exposure to doing things with true resonance and reciprocity, and moving from a place of urgency, like, oh my gosh, I have to get in front of these people, to the inevitability of trusting and knowing that if I show up fully as me, the right clients will come in when they're ready. So the strategy when identity is stable will work. Like literally whatever strategy you choose. Well, maybe not whatever strategy, but strategy works when your identity is stable. If your identity is not stable, then sometimes your strategy can backfire. And when that happens, when your identity is not stable and you're noticing that the strategy is backfiring, you'll notice yourself getting into a pattern of gathering information and never implementing it, or joining things like joining groups, joining clubs, joining other things that are not moving the needle on what you want, but you can't seem to stop it. You'll find yourself delaying the important decisions that probably will take you 10 minutes once you just decide, and you're overriding intuition. You don't need better options. I want you to hear that. You don't need better options. You need internal steadiness. You need that grounded identity integration. So, speaking of that, there are three things that can really help when you notice you're in an identity lag or you're in a nervous system activation. What we need is number one, nervous system regulation. And that can be done through breath work, through movement, through sound, through meditation, through journaling, through yoga. You can pick a way that works for you and do that. And if you want support in nervous system regulation, please go check out the Elixir. It's a set of 14 on demand tools that is designed to help you regulate emotionally so that you can regulate your nervous system, because emotional regulation and nervous system regulation, they go hand in glove. The second thing that can help support identity integration is when you are mirrored by someone who sees that next version of you. That's why working with a coach is so helpful. That's why joining communities like the Spiritual CEO membership, for example, is so helpful, because you can see that being reflected back to you. Oh, I am the CEO of my business and life. I am this person I am claiming to be. And having it mirrored back to you is incredibly cathartic. And then the third is spacious embodied decision making, meaning you're taking your time and you're feeling into the body when it's not activated. You're feeling into a regulated, calm body and then making decisions from that place. So the Intuitive Leader Retreat is going to be in March 3 through 5, 2026 in Lincoln City, Oregon. And this is the place where we can do some high level identity integration work with mirroring and nervous system regulation. We're also going to be doing a lot of work on any child parts or protector parts that might be keeping you stuck where you are. And the beautiful thing about this retreat is it is a very small group. There's a maximum of 10 people. 2 spots have already been taken, so there are 8 spots that are remaining. And in that size of a container, there is time for integration, there is time for relationship building, and there's time for that mirroring, that you can be with people who are working on the same things you are and mirror each other and mirror that next version. And then again, the Elixir is available for you as a real-time regulation when friction or anxiety or your nervous system spikes. And I'll put the links for all of these in the show notes. If things feel heavier for you right now, it's not necessarily because you're off track. It's very likely because you're mid transition. So, invitation to take some time to just reflect on what's true for you. If you really examine what you're experiencing right now, is it fear of the unknown and fear of uncertainty? Or is it that your body's saying something's misaligned? Because my guess is if you're doing something that is important to you, that really matters to you, and you're experiencing the kinds of things we've talked about in this episode, it is very likely nervous system activation and not your intuition saying that you should stop. So I hope this has been helpful. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you on what identity work you are moving through right now. And invitation to do that, you can tag me on social media. You can DM me on social media. I'm active on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. I don't do anything else. And well, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn a little bit, but not as much there as other places. DM me or send me an email. I really do want to hear from you. And I have a request. Could you please leave the podcast a rating and review wherever you're listening right now? If you're on Spotify, you'll leave a comment instead of a review because that's what Spotify allows, but you can still leave a rating. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, this would be such a big help. Even if you don't listen on Apple Podcasts, could you leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts? Because it really helps the podcast grow and get into the ears of more leaders. And one more thing before we go today. There are a lot of creators and mentors out there who are telling you to protect your energy. And I say that too. I do say protect your energy. I am not saying it's okay for you to hide your light in your own house and protect your energy in the name of I'm doing spiritual warfare and I'm not getting involved in the humanity. You are a human being having a spiritual experience. And part of that means we need to engage with humanity. And so if you're ignoring what's happening in the United States or around the world, and you're telling yourself that you doing the spiritual work is the work, yeah, that is an important level of work, but you're also spiritual bypassing. I'll just say it. You're spiritually bypassing. You are a human being here, and part of being a human means we need to engage with humanity. So I'm not saying put yourself in danger. I'm not saying do anything that feels misaligned or out of integrity for you, but please get involved. Please have conversations. Maybe it's you and one other person having a cup of coffee talking about things. Maybe it's you speaking out on social media. Maybe it's you having a conversation or standing up for something at your PTO meeting at your kid's school, or maybe you're having conversations at your place of worship. Whatever you're doing, please don't underestimate the impact of you sharing what you think in ways that feel aligned and with integrity to yourself. All right, enough of that. Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful for you for listening to the podcast. We are coming up on our 4th anniversary. This podcast started in April of 2022. So I'd love to hear from you. What else do you want to hear in the podcast? Where do you want the podcast to go? How can it be of better service to you? Thanks for being here. Bye for now.